we were talking before about Reagan. He has a little bit in his talk that he gave on a Lincoln Day address, that he talked about when the 7 Afghans came to meet him, and they said one guy had been on the Supreme Court before the war in Afghanistan, and he said to the translator, they said, "What do you want to do while you're here in Washington?" And he said, "I want to see the Lincoln Memorial." And they thought that's unusual, and they took him to the Lincoln Memorial, and he gets out, and this tall guy dressed in white with a black turban with gold trim says, "I can't go. I have no gift for President Lincoln." And he said, he said, "Lincoln was a man of prayer. He would appreciate if you pray as you know how to pray." He said, "I can do that." So he walks up, and there in the steps are 2 little children looking at this imposing image of the president. And he picks the kids up and says, "Great man you worship." And the parents say, who's the guy hugging my kid with the bath towel on his head? And he said, "Well, he was on the Supreme Court in Afghanistan before the war. He's meeting President Reagan this afternoon. And earlier that day, he had recited the Gettysburg Address in 2 different languages from memory."
Wow.
And so he was so caught up in the moment, and he tells, "Great man you worship." The parents say, "Can we meet him?" I said, "Well, he's hugging your kids. I guess so. Come on over." And he said, "My children would be much like yours if they were here." He said, "Where are your kids?" He said, "Last April, I was on my way home from the Supreme Court, and I was recognized by a Soviet soldier who drew his Kalashnikov and shot me in the legs. And as I fell, I saw my wife and children run out from the house to help me, and he raised the gun and killed them before my eyes." And he said, "But this is the reason we fight, because of Mr. Lincoln." And a friend of mine said, "I don't understand. What does Abe Lincoln have to do with killing in Afghanistan?" He says, "Mr. Lincoln was the only man in history that I know of who defended freedom for people who weren't from his own tribe." And I learned more from that little story about what it meant than I learned in any high school civics class, what it means to be an American.